Please come in. You're right on time. The door only opens when the clock strikes midnight. Georgia and Hannah are preparing to broadcast from the belfry. Just like this old bell tower, they have many stories to tell. Some old and some new. Follow me up these stairs, but mind your step. They're waiting for
In
you.
progress.
Yeah, mother.
Oh yeah, the Google storage price went down again. It was 99 cents instead of $2. But I think it was just for this month.
Like a special.
Or December, maybe. But I got the notification. I'm like, what 99-cent Google thing do I have? And then I got another one for mine. And I'm like, what's happening?
Right. It's fucking cold as balls outside.
It is cold as balls, dude. It's cold in here because our freaking house is drafty.
Are we gonna do like a little holiday catch-up discuss before we get into the meat?
Sure.
I don't know what that necessarily entails, but it's been so long since we recorded.
Why do I never have a pen here?
I don't know, you'd think you would in your office.
I know.
Fucking silly.
Well, I have a lot of pens, but none of them are good. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I should have grabbed my Kleenexes. Let me text Shannon. Especially because you sit there for half your fucking RPGs.
Yep.
Oh, did you like my plan for the book?
Yeah.
Okay. I was trying to think of good stuff, to reward ourselves, but I couldn't really think of anything. Thank you.
Hi, Hannah.
Hi.
Oh, she said hi. Bye.
I was looking at our release schedule, and the next time we record, it's literally all you.
Is it? I thought it was only
Yeah.
three that were me. 5, 6. Oh, yep.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, is my structure wrong? What did I do? Season 2, 5, 6, 7. Oh no, I just looked at it wrong. Okay. I'm excited though. Those are all good topics.
Yeah. Hopefully you have some notes at least about a couple, so you're not scrambling. Oh, did I tell you I got an external hard drive?
No.
For the season 1 episodes? Yeah, I got one.
Okay. I still need to get one, but I'm gonna buy a humidifier first so I can give yours back to you. Because I'm using it so much that I'm just like, I just need to buy one because it's helping. So when we get paid.
Hell yeah. Welcome back, everybody.
Happy New Year!
Oh my god. Welcome to season 2 of Broadcast from the Belfry.
It may be February when you hear this, but it's early January for us.
Yes.
So we're still feeling festive and
Yeah.
cozy.
Well, cozy, yes. Festive?
Well, I still have my tree up and everything.
Oh, we do too, for sure.
But I think I want to take it down this weekend. I don't know.
I don't know how festive I felt to begin with, TBH.
I had a pretty I'm very of the mind that winter is for hibernating.
Mm-hmm.
But as always, I make life really hard for myself. And I mean, what did I end up posting? 5 different things in a over our 10-day, because we had the Call of Cthulhu one shot, then we had Yule, then we had actual Christmas, then we had the DBE party, and then we had New Year's / Cat's birthday party. Yeah, 5 things in 10 days. So I was just like, I mean, I did it to myself, but
I was just gonna say.
I also
immediately Thursday, I could just tell that you were infinitely less anxious. I was like, oh, Georgia's back to normal.
Like,
Like, you were very tired. I could just tell.
I don't usually do that many social things in such a small period of time. 'Cause the older I get, the more recharge time I need. And I'm very selfish about who gets access to my energy because I don't have a lot of it most of the time. So, yeah, I just don't really do that much social stuff. But I did have, it was one of those things where I'm like, okay, getting ready for everything was really stressful, but like once the party, well, not all of the parties, some of them were better than others. Um, but once they were in progress, I was like, okay, I'm having a good time. I'm
Yep.
glad. Like, I tried to go all out, making my house super festive and cozy and like over the top with decorations and everything, just to really provide an aesthetic
Yeah.
for everything. And overall, it was worth it.
Hell yeah.
Because like the days that I didn't do anything, that we didn't have going anything going on, I didn't do anything. I barely got off the couch. So that's fine. Balance, you know?
Balance. Sorry, Milo's scratching in his litter box. I swear to God, if you just took a fat shit, I'm gonna
How
be so
fucking
sorry.
rude, Milo. So we are currently waiting to see if we're gonna have a massive snowstorm or
Mm-hmm.
if everyone's gonna go crazy and nothing happens.
I mean, judging how things are going right now, as it's sort of coming towards us, I think it's actually going to happen. Because,
Yeah.
yeah,
And the storm system looked like a penis, so we're gonna get fucked. Sorry, Mom. Uh, by Mom, I mean Melinda.
my mom is, I believe, still currently in Wisconsin.
Oh, she might be staying
Um,
there a while.
she might be staying there a while, yeah.
I know Kat was saying this morning that she was like, I hope it's not too bad for y'all. And I said, well, I brought stuff to work on. Like, if I don't go to work on Monday, I have stuff I can do here. And I have plenty of snacks now because I had to go to the store anyway to get litter. So I was just like, all right, well, I don't want to be one of these crazy people panic shopping, but I do want to make sure I have cheese
Of course.
and I want to make sure I have plenty of eggs so I can bake stuff if I want to or make a quiche or something. And I got soda water as well. I was just like, while I'm here, I might as well just grab a couple things so we don't have to leave the house over the next few days unless nothing happens.
When I went to Meyer yesterday,
Hmm.
because I was picking up some liquor and I was
Hmm.
picking up some cider, I was like, oh shit, there's a lot of people here buying things. So I called Seth. I was like, hey, can you think of anything that we might need? There's a lot of people at the store right now. I'm worried that things are going to be gone by the time we go shopping again. And one of the things he mentioned was frozen food or frozen vegetables, excuse me,
Mm.
because that's what we usually get because it's cheaper than getting fresh produce. And for certain things, it's like the same. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
um, spinach, sometimes for like certain recipes, is better than fresh
Yeah,
spinach.
because it doesn't have as much moisture in it now.
Yeah, yeah. It's just the ice. It's like, yeah. But
Yeah. Where I always get
one of,
broccoli.
yeah, me too. All of the frozen vegetables were gone.
Ugh.
Literally, completely empty
That was the other
shelves.
thing. I got chicken nuggets. I was like,
Oh yeah,
I made soup yesterday. Oh, I decided my fun thing for 2025 that I embark on
your
is
quest.
yeah, I'm doing a soup quest. Every
Hell
every
yeah,
soup that I make, I am go because I make a lot of soup.
yeah.
Um, every soup that I make, I'm gonna like document it. So last night I made a carrot soup and it's very good.
Oh
Because
my
I have an
gosh.
obscene amount of carrots in my fridge from when my grocery order got fucked up and
Yeah.
really screwed up my fucking, budget for the month and everything, which like pissed
Hmm.
me off. But I was like, well, we have plenty of food, so what am I gonna do with it? So carrots. I made a carrot soup.
You
I'm
know, the
gonna make it
first time
again.
we ever did our Sunday night D&D, Seth cooked for us and he made a carrot soup and it slapped. It was
Yeah.
so good.
This one I'm gonna make it again, but I have some parsnips that I need to use up as well. So I was like, I'm gonna throw those in the second batch because I think that'll just add a little extra something to the flavor.
Yeah.
But then it just has onion and chili powder and cumin and ginger in it. And it's pretty fucking good.
I have been adding more recipes to that Google Doc
Oh,
that I
that
started
Google
up at
Doc.
the TikTok recipes.
Oh, I forgot about that doc.
I started adding more.
Is that what you're
Yes,
is that what you're
really.
basing your quest on? Those recipes? Or just like,
No. My quest is Cheese Quest. I'm gonna try different cheeses. Like if I'm
oh god.
afraid that I might not like it, I'm gonna buy it
Yeah.
anyway.
You know what we need to do? We should go to Aldi because they have a pretty good cheese selection and it's not obscenely expensive either.
Maybe sometime like I could pick you up after therapy and then we could go to Aldi. So we can just do like a circuit
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Or
So neither of us are like going out of our way kind of thing.
or we just go to the Prospect one next time we do like a home goods excursion.
Oh yeah.
Especially if we're just buying cheese, like it's not like we're going grocery shopping and it's boring. We're going on a cheese quest. So it's still fun.
Yeah.
And they have $4 wine bottles.
Oh my gosh, Milo has found the literal only sun ray of sun in this entire place.
What I actually did, because one of
Milo.
Shane and I's things for this year is being more intentional about our little witchy practice stuff.
Yeah.
And so we're making our own little grimoire,
Mm,
and it has like all the Sabbats in it, and then like it'll have sections. I was organizing it last night, like how I wanted it laid out. So it'll have like sections for like what the Sabbat is in general and like what it's about and who it honors, and then there's like a section for like the symbols and like stuff to put in your altar for that Sabbath, that kind of thing. But then I found like the full moons. You know
mhm.
how there's like the beaver moon throwback,
Yeah, Beaver Moon.
and like each month has like a different, hunter's moon, harvest moon, all those different moons. They all have like different like symbolism and meanings and stuff.
Yeah. I saw that note that you put
Yeah.
in the agenda.
Yeah. And so I found different like shadow work prompts to go with each of them. And so I'm putting those in there, and then I'm gonna try and make that a part of like each full moon.
Hell yeah.
We'll see.
You know how I love the moon.
Yeah, I'm gonna start being one of those insane people that like fills up a bunch of jars with water and puts them out.
Moon water? Oh
Yeah.
no.
I don't really know. I don't know. I don't know if I'll go that far, but we'll see. Could be fun.
I don't know how I'm supposed to talk about what I'm supposed to talk about. Milo's all snuggled up with me.
Luna was sitting on my foot on the couch and it was really hard to get up.
Oh my god. I cannot. Hold on. He has been so snuggly lately. It's insane.
He looks
He's
so cute in
resting
that
his head
moonbeam.
on my tummy. Moonbeam? It's the sun,
Or
bruh.
the sunbeam. We're talking about the moon.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
Well, Georgia.
Oh wait,
Uh,
Sorry. Should we explain our new format that's different than last season?
Oh, I was just going to.
Okay, say no more.
That was disgusting. Die.
Like choking on my water.
Like, sounds like you're throwing up your water.
You don't want to hear my mouth sounds?
No. I beg of you,
Shannon said,
please.
Shannon was saying, we were just watching, it must have been watching, I'm on observation duty the other day. He was like, I hate it when you can hear their mouth sounds in the microphone. And it's also his least favorite part of Bake Off, when you can hear them chewing.
He's got that
Anyway.
misophonia.
Anyway, sorry.
Aaron! Stop chewing! Some people have mesothelioma. So this season is going to be a little bit different.
Your
Before
mom's different.
we more or less went back and forth, Georgia, Hannah, so on and so forth. We did have like discussion episodes, but more or less kept it that way. Well, this season, we're going to talk about everything Americana, United States. We're dedicating a whole season to this because we're a little more familiar with it, having lived here for my entire life and a significant portion of George's life. And there's just a lot going on. There's a lot that we want to talk about. So instead of going back and forth, we each came up with a list of topics that we want to discuss and then organized it chronologically. So we're not necessarily going to be going back and forth one after the other. Sometimes it'll be a lot of me in a row. Sometimes it'll be a lot of Georgia in a row. And then there are a few points where, yeah, it's going to be back and forth. But these are just things that, you know, we wanted to do a little timeline. This is fun.
Yeesh. A timeline. The timeline.
A timeline.
We're in the darkest timeline now.
Oh.
We will be by the time this episode comes on, if you know what I
right.
mean.
So, also, we should mention that it's not like the strictest timeline because there are some topics we discuss. Like in a few episodes, I'm going to talk about something that it begins in a certain time period and continues to the modern day. And I'll, you know, hit briefly on some of that shit, but y'all will see. We're making a timeline. Okay.
It's our own timeline. We can do whatever we want with it.
Mm-hmm. In this dark timeline that we're about to enter, let us take you on this one. Hopefully filled with fun and learning and scary stories and mystery and conspiracy and spooky, cryptidy,
and murders.
Murders.
Moida.
Midas. I'm gonna freaking Mida.
Okay. Also, I may be blowing my nose a lot. Sorry, I have crazy bad sinuses. The end. Yeah, that's fine.
You just had like a weird burst of loudness, and I don't know why.
Looking into this microphone is trippy as fuck.
I keep staring at it. It's from like here, you know?
Oh my God. Looking into it in person is like it looks like it should be hollow. The way the light comes out of it, like it looks like it's like an optical illusion.
You know those pictures of cats looking up at Christmas lights and ornaments? You looked like that just now. The way that your eyes like shone and like how big your pupil and iris were. I'm like, whoa, what's happening?
Okay.
So Georgia.
Yeah.
Just off the coast of current-day North Carolina, there exists an island 8 miles in length and 2 miles wide. Currently, a few thousand people populate this island
Uh-huh.
in cute little East Coast beachy homes. There's a few mansions. There is a
I
trailer park.
I forgot we were talking about this and I just got really excited.
They do have a UPS.
Oh,
They have a Jersey Mike's, and of course, you better believe they have a Dollar General. Just one.
well, is that it?
Yeah.
They have a gas
Oh,
station?
yeah.
Okay. I
They have
thought
a
you were
couple.
telling me every single business that was there and
Oh,
that was
no.
all of them.
No. No. That'd be funny, though. So, what did this place look like hundreds of years ago? More specifically, how did it look 440 years ago? Pretty
Well,
desolate, pretty overgrown and swampy and green.
mhm.
This is the story of the lost colony of Roanoke.
Way to draw it out. Jeez.
So, the 16th century was everyone's favorite time.
I remember it
Why?
well.
Why might you ask? Well, you should know. It was the height of American colonization. Yay.
Yay. And
50
we learned all
years.
about American colonization on our recent trip to Colonial Williamsburg.
We sure did, which this has ties to,
Hell yeah. We didn't even talk about that.
hilariously. No. So 50 years after being explored by Giovanni de Verrazzano under a French expedition, chartered
Never
by
heard
King
of him.
Philip, for real, he saw the land and was one of the first people to contact the indigenous peoples of the area. So, like what is now southern Virginia, northern North Carolina, like the uh, Outer Banks area. I don't know. Have you seen that Netflix show,
Outer
Outer
Banks?
Banks? Yeah.
No.
Oh,
I was just picturing that first contact was them just on a boat, like sailing by, just wave.
waving. I assure you, it was not like that.
Yeah,
Um,
unfortunately.
so after 50 years after that, Queen Elizabeth I chartered her own expedition of all New World territories north of Spanish Florida,
Hmm.
originally granting Sir Humphrey Gilbert the right to colonize territories unclaimed by Christian kingdoms. Sir Humphrey Gilbert was
Fake
an
name.
interesting dude.
Mm,
I have
okay.
so many ellipses in this sentence. He participated in crushing the Irish rebellions in the mid to late 1500s.
Oh, good.
So I think this is what gave him the extra oomph to do what the Queen requested of him, right? It gave him mentally the right to be a little bitch.
If he had extra umph, then was his name Humphrey Gilbert.
Humphrey Gilbert.
Sorry.
He visited Newfoundland. Tragically, he lost his life on the return journey
Oh,
back to
that sucks.
England.
He probably was bad at
Um,
his job then.
he briefly claimed St. John's
Uh,
for the
uh-huh.
crown,
Mm-hmm.
but that's a whole other story that I'm not talking about.
Wait, what was the other guy's name?
Giovanni da Verrazzano. Verrazzano is Verrazzano. So after he died, Queen Elizabeth
Humphrey.
chartered Humphrey. Queen Elizabeth chartered his half brother to explore all lands south of Newfoundland.
Uh-huh.
She split the charter, granted Gilbert's blood relative brother the right to explore all lands north of Newfoundland, which we know there's not much going on. It's pretty cold, pretty wet.
Love to go to Newfoundland.
Well, Gilbert was not the only somewhat competent asshole in his family, because
Unfortunately.
his brother, listeners, you may be wondering who this is. Who else was well respected for crushing the Irish Rebellion? Who do we know was really into exploration and colonization of the Americas? Who first heard tale of the City of Gold solidifying the El Dorado rumors by spending his last 30 years of his life searching for it? That's right. It's our very own Sir Walter Raleigh.
Yeah.
You know him, you love him. You hate to love him. No, I hate him. I don't. He was a wiener. He was told to establish a colony in any of this chartered area within a 6-year period, or he would lose his right, air quotes here, to colonize, as granted to him by the crown. In the Queen's announcement by letter, she says, Elizabeth, by the grace of God of England, France, and Ireland, Queen, defender of the faith, etc., literally says etc., to all people to whom these presents shall come, greetings. Know ye that of our especial grace, certain science and mere motion we have given and granted, and by these presents for us, our heirs and successors, do grant to our trustee and well-beloved servant Walter Raleigh, Esquire, and to his heirs and assignee forever, free liberty and license from time to time, and at all times forever hereafter, to discover, search, find out, and view such remote, heathen, and barbarous lands, countries, and territories, not actually possessed of any Christian prince, nor inhabited by Christian people, as to him, his heir, and assignees, and to every or any of them shall seem good, blah, blah, blah. It literally goes on and on and on to grant him, his heirs, and assignees broad powers to do whatever. She specifies in this letter how much land that he's required to allot for a colony, how he has total autonomy, and in any port that she rules or her allies rule, and so on and so forth. He just has total power. Crazy, right? So, despite all of this, though, she demands that he stay in England at her side. He's not allowed to leave.
Yeah, she was
Because
like weirdly obsessed with him.
yes, she was weirdly obsessed with him. And she also thought that he was such a prominent, powerful guy that if something were to happen to the crown or in England, or because they were being threatened by the Spanish like every 3 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
So she wanted him there to, provide support. Also, she was low-key obsessed with him. This isn't mentioned in my notes, but he later impregnated and married one of her handmaidens, and this sort of caused a bit of strife just before her death.
Yeah, wasn't she? She was jelly, really.
She was so jelly. It was
We could
crazy.
assume. Also, I just was curious because Esquire, gets bandied around a lot, and I was
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, I know it technically means like now it's for like licensed attorneys, I think you can
Mm-hmm.
use Esquire, but I was like, apparently it used to also just be for anyone that was just below the rank of a knight.
Mm-hmm.
But most importantly, the female equivalent of Esquire is Esquiress. In case you
Cool.
wanted to know.
Hell yeah.
The end. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, I thought it was given to people who had like, what is it called? Landed gentry or something. Is that what it's called? Am I crazy? What is that called?
That is a term. But yeah, like any
Yeah.
nobleman. Landed gentry is like any
Landed gentry.
noble person who like owns land.
Yeah.
Especially land that like would have been rented out to like tenant farmers, like in Downton Abbey, like
Mm-hmm.
he's a they're landed gentry. My mom's first husband's family was landed gentry, but that was
Crazy.
it was like they had sold off like all their tenant
Oh.
farms and everything, and they just worked what was left of their estate themselves.
Well, yeah, by like 50s, 60s, a lot of that was. I'm not going to say like no more, but not really a thing, right?
Way sooner
50s
than
and
that.
60s.
Sooner than that because it was World War One that really destroyed the landed
Oh yeah.
gentry, as portrayed in Downton Abbey. Because uh, a lot of the workers of the estates of landed gentry, the servants, the farmers, they all got drafted, and most of them died. And yeah, that's like what
Yeah.
that whole season of Downton Abbey is about. Them being
I
like,
think I
"What do we
thought,
do?"
yeah, what do we do? How do we hire? They still managed to hire, not as many.
I guess we turn our house into a hospital and
Mm-hmm.
then sell all of our silverware. I don't know. But
Yeah.
that's why so many of those houses are like venues today as well, because the families couldn't afford to take care of them and didn't have the staff to take care of them. And so they ended up selling them, especially to like new money. Um, Often like the textile merchants and that kind of stuff took those houses. And then a lot of them just ended up being venues and
I
like
mean, I
hotels and stuff.
appreciate that because one
Now we
day
can
when I
go
go
to them.
visit these places for,
Yeah,
cheap or free.
yeah. Well, and that's like where Downton Abbey is filmed. That's Lord Carnarvon's estate himself, and they have the museum in the basement, I believe, of like King Tut stuff. But then they also have like an exhibit. I'm sure they have something there about like the filming of Downton Abbey, and then they have, um, you can just tour the house and everything.
Yeah. I wanted to check out some of those like castles in Scotland where that are like popular filming locations.
Yeah, and some of them are like
Just didn't have time.
hotels now. That's what
Yeah.
that's what I want for my elopement plan. Um,
Yes.
is to just like go to one of those. A lot of them have like a person whose job it is to just like plan that stuff for you. You say, "This is
Yeah.
what I want to do," and they're like, "Okay," and they make it happen. So, mhm. Anyway,
So Queen Elizabeth demands that Walter Raleigh stay in England, and he would have to send others in his stead to search out viable land for a colony. They would need to look for a potential seaport with intentions to mobilize privateers in preventing Spain from taking all the material and people that they were shipping back to Europe. So he actually sent out an expedition within the month. I think it was like something like 3.5 weeks later, using his recently acquired royal funds to charter 2 barks to begin reconnaissance and meet with anyone living in the area that they chose for a potential harbor because they were kind of searching along a long stretch of coast there.
hmm
So 2.5 months after they departed, they landed at Hatteras Island, a barrier island that was then named Port Ferdinando after Simon Fernandez, who captained one of the barks.
Wait, what year is this again?
This was in 1584.
Okay.
Yeah. So the charter was granted, I think it was April 6th, and they sent out April 26th, April 25th. I can't quite remember, but it was just before May, and then they landed early-ish June.
Okay.
So yeah, Hatteras Island, that's the barrier island on the outer banks that sort of is just east of Roanoke Island and Croatan Island or Croatoan Island. They contacted at that point the Secotan tribe that lived in and utilized Roanoke Island and the mainland between Albemarle Sound and the Pamlico River. They met with a man named Granganimeo, who was actually the brother of the current leader of the Secotan at the time. His brother, the chief, actually was injured, so he was like, "No, you're gonna go out and talk to these people." Colonization had been happening for a long time in this area, not just from European settlers, but from the different indigenous tribes settling in and moving around because the land is pretty harsh
Mm-hmm.
and the soil, depending on where you live, can be hard to utilize for agriculture.
Swamp life, hashtag.
Dat swamp life, dat glay. Um, so the other Algonquian speaking tribes in the area, while I can't assume that they were pleased by more newcomers, I surmise that they weren't really surprised. You
Yeah.
know, they've been seeing European colonizers for a hot
Yeah.
minute, like
It
at
was more
least the
like,
past
oh, what do you
50
want
years.
now? Instead of oh my God, there's weird people
That's
here.
what I assume. But this
Yeah.
was, 440 years ago. So I don't know.
You can't read their minds. What's wrong with you?
No, I wish. So when this expedition returned in England later that fall, they returned with two native peoples to help vouch for their success. The Queen basically said, "Hell yeah,"
Mm-hmm.
granted Raleigh a knighthood, and
Mm-hmm.
proclaimed the discovered land as Virginia, which at the time referred to the area between the 34th and the 45th parallel. It included this strip of land, which is now known as North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
We know there was a separation later on, 38th parallel, Civil War. Yeah. So where did this name come from? Well,
Yeah,
it could be
but
after the Queen, Virginia, but some people suggest that it was actually a stolen word. It was a stolen name from one of the native people that they brought back to England to vouch for the land, whose name I believe. Oh, why didn't I write it down?
like Pocahontas all over again.
Like Pocahontas.
Well, that whole, about her going back to
Oh,
England to be like, yeah.
his name was Wingina or Wingina. It's with a G, Wingina.
Hmm.
So Raleigh wanted a lot of people to go on this next trip. Original estimates sat like just below 100 people, but 600 men actually ended up going. That's a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
That's insane. That's crazy. Can you imagine trying to plan for that? No. He sent a man named Ralph Lane to govern this colonized land, to be in charge of it, make all decisions in his stead. And he granted 7 ships to depart nearly 1 calendar year later from the Queen's original 1584 charter. The
Mm-hmm.
fleet consisted of a galleass named Tiger,
Tiger.
a few flyboats named Roebuck, Red Lion, Elizabeth, and Dorothy, as well as 2 small pinnaces, or essentially rowboats, like just larger rowboats. So the journey was not great.
Fuck's to be those guys.
I know, literally, because from what I'm about to tell you. So the journey started out terrible. The Tiger got separated from the fleet after a storm occurred off the coast of Portugal. One of the pinnaces sank, so they hadn't even left the area. Freaking A. They
Yeah.
did have a backup plan, though. They agreed to meet in Puerto Rico and wait for anybody else who might have gotten lost or delayed. Unfortunately, only the Elizabeth was the only other ship to arrive in Puerto Rico to meet. The others actually continued off to the Outer Banks,
Mm-hmm.
or went to Newfoundland or whatever. So on their journey
They got out the boat
from,
and they're like, wait a second.
yeah,
I don't think this is right, guys.
on their journey from Puerto Rico to the area they were going to settle on,
Mm-hmm.
they stole some ships, had some more storms. The Tiger actually wrecked, and they lost a lot of food supply, a lot of provisions. Like, I think it was something like 2/3 of their provisions. They lost men. They finally landed on Port Ferdinando, and very quickly the other ships reunited and met up, and they rendezvoused, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
So in those first several months leading up to winter, obviously they had less food to deal with because of the shipwreck. And they knew that there was supposed to be a secondary shipment of provisions to come after a certain period of time that they were supposed to have landed at the port.
Yeah.
However, the shipment was delayed, and then it was redirected to help alert the English to privateering efforts in Newfoundland. The colonizers also started to get super paranoid. They ended up burning down a nearby native village because someone in the settlement reported a missing silver cup, and the governor and his council decided, like, oh, they obviously stole it, and so they just burned it to the ground, and the native people fled.
I have to say, this seems like an overall logistical issue because every colony seemed to have provisions that were supposed to come later that got delayed or lost or, sent elsewhere instead. And it's like, you guys can't get your shit together. How do you think you're actually going to establish a colony?
Yeah.
You guys need a
Well,
fucking spreadsheet.
it was because the Queen was so afraid of the Spanish attacking, which they were doing to
Yeah.
English merchant ships. English merchant ships in Newfoundland were being boarded by Spanish privateers and having their goods stolen as retribution for English privateers attacking the Spanish merchant ships. So, it's a whole thing.
Yeah.
And then, the Spanish Armada attacked later, but I digress.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, all of the ships eventually just left for England or left to keep exploring the coast, left all of these colonists to just fend for themselves. Strangely, the native tribal people actually helped provide food for the colonists, but not that much. And they didn't have a very good job. So at this time, many of the men started searching for silver and gold to, say it was worth it, kind of thing. But they had no luck. Their morale dropped, and a lot of men started saying, "This is pointless. What are we doing here?" They soon ran out of provisions that the tribes had provided, and there are currently no surviving records of what happened that winter of 1585. Though climatology studies have proven that there was a pretty difficult growing season and there was a lot of winter storms in the area. So Ralph Lane met with several nearby tribal leaders where he acquired quite a bit of information on promising land with better growing opportunities. He took 40 men to explore there. They were ambushed by Moratuk people after they were warned of English hostility, because the English did tell the tribal leaders, like, we're going to go in and take this shit. And they were like, okay.
You can try.
He returned to the colony with less men, still no food. And then 1 month later, the Secotan left Roanoke Island and the English colony on their own after refusing to provide any more food or potable water. Later on, members of the Secotan Council agreed to meet with Ralph Lane at like a joint session, and some of Lane's men to discuss another compromise because they were struggling. Lane and his dudes showed up, and he ordered them to attack once they were admitted to the council. And so they returned to the colony with the chief's head impaled on a spike.
That sounds a real theme for the day emerging.
One thing led to another. The next supply shipment finally arrived. The only thing was that they couldn't find anybody. They couldn't find any trace. And so they returned to England. They dropped the shipment off elsewhere and set on their way. So Sir Raleigh sent out another colony to Croatoan Island. John White, one of the dudes from the original colony who'd gone back to England when all those ships sort of just like abandoned everybody, he wanted to go looking for the OGs, the original site. They found no sign of anyone. The fort had been entirely dismantled and the area overgrown. They learned from nearby Croatan people that many had been attacked and killed, just each other. There were tribal arguments and killings and pillagings between both parties. And so the colony agreed to move 50 miles north if John White went back to England in search of help. Well, he was a little delayed after helping defeat the Spanish Armada that attacked. So he showed up 4 years later, freaking in 1590. And he and his dudes, once again, found nothing, no sign of people. The two ship crews, it took two ships, saw columns of smoke off on the island, but when they approached, they found nothing. They came to the fort with a newly erected palisade and found no one. Nothing. Well, not nothing. They just didn't find anyone. They did find the word Croatoan carved into one of the palisade posts and the letters CRO carved into a nearby tree. That's the information that most people know. That's like common knowledge. That little bit, the carving. Inside the fort, the houses had again been dismantled and all goods and materials removed. Anything that could be carried was gone. Trunks and crates had been dug up and looted. Even John White's belongings had been dug up and stolen. And so this squad intended to move over to Croatoan Island the following day, but ship troubles prevented that. And they just decided to go back to England. They're like, this is not working. The seas in the area are so rough and there are so many storms that it's just impossible to do anything, it seems like. Other expeditions... Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, wasn't his, like, wife and kid part of the colony as well?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And he just never saw them again?
No. They were some of the ones who were able to return, I think. Oh. I'm pretty sure.
Okay, maybe I'm thinking of...
Because he was, like, going back and forth and stuff.
Yeah, I might be conflating it with one of the other colonies, but I thought that, like, he left to go get more... Someone left to go get more stuff, and they came back, and everyone was gone, and he never knew what happened to his family.
Yes, because that's one of the child there was the first Christian child ever born in the New World. I hate saying the New World, but and they named her Virginia.
That's her, right? Yes. Okay.
But I don't remember last name. Oh, it might be Lane, actually. It might be Lane. That other dude.
Yeah.
What was his name? Ralph Lane. Ralph. Other expeditions did take place. Sir Walter Raleigh sent a couple other folks, or a couple other mariners out to go check out the land, see if there's anybody else there, because he was chartered to build a colony in this area. Well, the other expeditions either never made landfall due to storms or terrible seafaring, dying on the way, things like that, or being killed by nearby tribespeople. So the colonists' fate remained a mystery for a very, very long time. Very long time. To which I say, what the heck? What are we supposed to do with that? So there are a few explanations. Just a couple.
Figured it out. Okay.
What? Who was it?
It was John White's granddaughter. Was Virginia.
Okay.
Yeah.
Everyone who was like in charge on these expeditions, they were like all related to one another in some fashion.
Yeah. It was
it's weird.
Yeah, his daughter. So their last name is Dare, because I assume it was his
Dare.
daughter that married, obviously, someone.
Or wasn't it Dane? Dane?
Mm-mm.
Oh,
Dare.
because I thought it was Dane County is Roanoke Island. Am I stupid?
Ananias and Eleanor Dare.
Ananias?
Yes.
That's awesome. Okay, cool. His granddaughter.
So his daughter was there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay,
But yeah, they're recorded as disappearing before 1590.
fascinating.
Anyway.
So one explanation suggests that the colonists ended up relocating to the Chesapeake Bay area.
Hmm.
We know that
We love it there.
Jamestown was settled very, very shortly after this. Like after 1590, the first people to show up at Jamestown, the unsuccessful settlement, was like 1603, I think. It was assumed that a small group would have been stationed behind at Croatoan Island to await White's
Mhm.
return and then direct him to the transplanted colony in the Chesapeake Bay. But he never found these people again. So who would have told him where to go? He didn't find nobody.
1607.
1607
Yeah,
was the first one,
I think
or
so.
was that the successful one? Because there were the two different settlements.
104 man landed in Virginia in 1607 at a place they named Jamestown. This was the first
Okay.
permanent settlement. 13 years later, oh wait, no, that's the Mayflower. 13 years later,
Yeah.
settlers landed in the Mayflower.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was 1609 when the starving time was.
Oh, you're right. Yes.
When the
I had
cannibalism happened.
I had already forgotten about the starving time.
Yes.
But we're not talking about that. Uh, so another explanation could be that the missing colonists assimilated immediately into nearby tribes like the Croatan or the Chesapeans. There were several reports of pale-skinned, blonde-haired people among various tribes in 1607, or as early as 1607. Maybe the people of Jamestown saw that. I don't know. It's also suggested they could have tried making a return trip to England themselves, but I think that with the luck that they had thus
I
far
wouldn't.
on their seafaring journeys, I can't imagine they would have made it very far in one of those
No.
pinnaces. There's a conspiracy that some ship crew intended to leave behind the colonists in an attempt to undermine Sir Raleigh, as he interfered with their, quote, covert machinations to make England a Protestant world power at the expense of Spain and other Catholic nations. Also,
Okay.
the colonists could have been separatists, and they just weren't down with that.
Because a lot of colonists were non-conforming to Protestantism or
Yeah,
Catholicism
yeah.
anyway.
There's a local legend in current day Roanoke Island, like in the county there, that refers to a place called Beachland with two E's that
Lame.
has a bunch of sassafras. The area has had many reports of small coffins being found, some with Christian markings. And this area specifically coincides with Sir Raleigh's request to go out and harvest sassafras because it skyrocketed in market price at the time. There was
Mhm.
huge sassafras trade.
I thought you were gonna say reports of ghosts, and I got really excited.
There probably are. There probably are tons
Probably.
of
I mean, if
ghosts.
they're
Yeah.
finding coffins, they're probably finding ghosts.
Yeah. There's archaeologists still out there to this day looking
Yeah.
for stuff.
I every once in a while something pops up like archaeologists at Roanoke found this, found that, whatever.
Yeah.
And didn't they do a Time Team America episode?
Hmm. I thought they did more than one.
They might have. Hi, Chelsea Rose.
It's theorized that the Spanish attacked the colonists,
Hmm.
though records show that they actually had no idea where the colony was located. And apparently, the English records of where they were kept specifically concealed and like
Oh,
coded to
yeah.
prevent the Spanish from figuring out where they were.
They had like the little secret parts on the map with like
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
little,
In like the invisible ink.
like the hidden,
Yeah.
yeah, and like someone had put, more parchment or whatever over certain parts and then like
Yup.
disguised it. Yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So then the copies that were made didn't have the yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Super cool. Super awesome. Yeah, the Spanish had
Yeah.
no fucking clue. Also, someone in, I think it was in like the 1980s or something, found the faint markings of the letters CORA on a tree on Hatteras Island. It was believed that that was also from the colonists and that they were implying they went off to live with the Coree tribe.
Mm-hmm.
Unknown. I believe that that specific tree had been damaged by lightning shortly thereafter, and so they were unable to do proper
Mm.
dendrochronology or
Mm-hmm.
carbon dating because it was like messed up. And so it's like, who
Mm.
knows? There was a fraudulent claim of stone carvings, which described the colonists' travels and untimely deaths. This claim was made in 1937. It was eventually attributed to a local stone cutter, stonemason. These stone carvings were supposedly written by what's his face's daughter, who we were just talking about,
Eleanor?
um, Eleanor,
Dare? Mm-hmm.
because she is like this prominent lady. But no, they were all attributed to this guy who just wanted to, whatever.
Yeah.
There was a supernatural episode called Croatoan.
Is there? I've never heard of it.
Quick synopsis.
Oh my God, it's so stupid.
After Sam has a vision of Dean killing a young man who seems to be possessed by a demon, the two brothers head off to Oregon to search for answers. They come across a town infected by a deadly virus that drives a person to kill. Sam becomes infected by one of the locals and prepares for his deadly fate. But after nothing happens to him, Dean decides to come clean and reveal what John whispered to him before he died in the season 2 premiere.
Mm-hmm.
That if he can't save Sam, he'll have to kill him if he becomes evil. And
Mm-hmm.
Dean confesses, like, I can't do it, Sammy. It's
Yeah.
very emotional. And he cries. There's the single tear. And I sobbed. Now I'm like, so cheesy.
It's so stupid. Just the
But
premise
anyway,
of that episode is, I mean, they basically made a zombie episode without actual zombies, I feel like.
yeah, I
Yeah.
remember there was a whole thing about like technology and shit couldn't work in the town, and there was like deserted. It was so weird.
Yeah.
And the virus was like found in the blood
Yeah.
and all this stuff. And like Sam was worried about the demon blood and all that shit.
Yeah.
Crazy. Anyway, that's what I got.
Hell yeah.
Happy
I
Roanoke.
know there's a lot of archaeology that like still happens out there, which is really cool. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think I think the latest thing done was in 2020.
Yeah, I know they find a lot of like ceramics out there.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
but they're unable to attribute it to the colonists because there have been so many
Yeah.
European settlers in the area.
Yeah.
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 Really, what I learned though is that the waters in that area suck
Yes.
really bad.
There's there's actually a really active DBE chapter not too far. Well, they're in Raleigh and they do a lot of stuff like in the whole area. And I had a really long conversation with, I can't remember if she's their state president or whatever, but yeah, they're like really active in all that stuff. There's also some really nice Elizabethan gardens,
Nice.
which obviously the DB uses for a lot of events. But yeah, I had a really interesting conversation with her about Roanoke. I couldn't tell you any of it off the top of my head now, but I feel like it's just indicative that people who live in that area are like, yeah, we have this. It's pretty cool. Couldn't tell you anything about it, but
Yeah.
it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Another lesson to learn: colonizers suck.
Yeah.
Boo.
In our next episode, there will be a couple of reoccurring themes.
Oh my god. Sorry. Sorry, that was gross.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Tune in next week. Bye.
Well, that concludes this week's broadcast. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you wish to stay in touch, reach out to us at broadcastfromthebelfry@gmail.com or stalk us on Instagram at broadcastfromthebelfry. Again, I hope you've enjoyed our little show. Please rate and review. And until next week, stay